Discover the miraculous covenant, Moses' sacred final words revealed for divine transformation. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, a faithful servant stood upon the weathered heights of Mount Nebo, consumed by both the weight of his journey and the promise of the land that lay before him. Moses, aged 120, labored under the heavy mantle of leadership, his heart a tapestry woven from threads of grief, joy, and anticipation. The sun, a golden orb, began its descent, casting a warm glow over the rugged terrain of the Promised Land, an expanse filled with the memories of his people's struggles and the hope of what was yet to come. "Israel," Moses called, his voice filled with authority and compassion, reverberating across the valley as they gathered, hearts beating as one. "Behold the land your God has given to you. All the days of this life I have been with you, guiding you beneath the clouds of his glory." He glanced over the faces shaped by years of wandering, each reflecting the burdens they carried, the weariness of rebellion, the weight of yearning. He continued with fervent urgency, "But remember this moment. You stand at a crossroads. A choice lies before you, life or death, blessing or curse. Choose life, that you and your children may live." As his words resonated, a sacred silence enveloped them, the gravity of the choice pressing in. Would they heed the call of their Creator or turn aside once again? "Remember the covenant made at Sinai." He recounted the law given to them, the very heart of God's desire for an intimate relationship with his children. Yet with prophetic foresight, he spoke of rebellion that would arise, temptations that would lead them astray. "As surely as the sun sets, you will turn away from his ways," he warned, his voice steady. "But take heart, for when you are in your distress and you turn back to him, he will not forsake you. His mercy is everlasting." Before the gathering, they saw a leader who had walked in faith, faltered, yet remained steadfast. The sky blossomed with stars, a reminder of God's promises. This sacred moment captured the duality of obedience and disobedience, the tension palpable in the air. Moses, sensing his limits, called forth Joshua, the son of Nun. "Be strong and courageous," he proclaimed, hands trembling as he laid them upon Joshua's head, invoking the presence of God to fill him. "For you shall lead this people into the land that God swore to our forefathers. Do not lose heart." As Moses' final words hung in the evening air, filled with divine urgency and profound love, a question stirred in the hearts of those gathered. Could they truly remain faithful in the face of trials yet to come? The journey ahead would demand more than mere obedience. It required their hearts, their souls, an unwavering commitment to a God whose covenant never wavered. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey. I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As dusk ensued, enveloping the land in twilight, Moses turned his eyes to the west, filled with both anticipation and sorrow. His journey was drawing to a close, yet the future of his people remained in uncertain hands. The tension remained, a divine promise extending beyond that moment, a heavy cloud of unanswered questions looming. Would they uphold their end of the covenant? Would they embrace the life offered to them? As the stars emerged, so too did a glimmering hope for transformation, a hope yearning to be fulfilled, beckoning the Israelites towards a destiny yet to be revealed. And it came to pass that after Moses had completed his solemn charges to the Israelites, he felt a profound stillness descend upon the valley. The people remained gathered, their hearts racing in sync with the weight of his parting words. The night deepened, a dark canvas blotting out the last glimmers of the sun, and stars twinkled majestically overhead, as if affirming the heavenly promise. "Moses, the servant of the Lord," a voice echoed from the midst of the people. "What shall we do?" There was a youthful tremor in the voice. It belonged to one of the children of Israel, eyes wide with expectation and fear. The questions of the young gave life to the ancient wisdom spoken moments before. "Fear not, for the Lord your God shall fight for you," Moses replied, a surge of prophetic energy infusing his words with authority. "In every trial that awaits you, remember the mighty hand that delivered you from Egypt. He shall guide you all the days of your life. Trust in him." The moonlight flickered upon their faces, casting long shadows that whispered of the challenges yet to come. They stood at the threshold of a new season, yet the trembling hearts within them bore uncertainty. Visions of warriors, giants, and fortified cities danced through their minds. As if sensing their fears, Moses raised his hand to the heavens, invoking the name of the Lord. "The journey before you is fraught with peril, yet it is paved with myriads of blessings. Do not let fear bind your steps, let faith be your compass." Then, in a moment that would be seared into their memories, he uttered a prophetic declaration. "You shall conquer the land and dwell in it, a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear the word of the Lord." For what lies ahead is not simply the inheritance of land, but the manifestation of His promises fulfilled through generations. A murmur of hope swelled among the people. Some fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the weight of Moses' words, the reality of their divine inheritance washing over them. The flickers of dread began to wane under the expanding light of faith. And as the night deepened, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Come up to the mountain, and I will show you the land I promised to the descendants of your forefathers." Obedient and heavy-hearted, Moses took one last look at the congregation, the children of Israel, a people chosen, a people loved. "Remember," he said, his voice imbued with resolve, "the Lord has set before you a covenant rooted in love, and every step you take must be woven in faith, lest you stray." With that, he began his ascent up Mount Nebo, each step echoing the weight of his destiny. As the summit of the mountain embraced him, Moses gazed upon the expansive land stretching before him: Gilead, Dan, Naphtali, Ephraim, and Manasseh. His heart swelled with sorrow for what he could not enter, yet filled with gratitude for the legacy of a covenantal promise that would endure beyond his days. Yet in the depths of his spirit a question loomed. What would become of Israel when he was no longer with them? Would they stand firm against the surrounding nations? Would they remember the words etched upon their hearts, or would they falter in their faith as in times past? And there on that mountaintop, beneath the watchful stars, a revelation pierced the heavens. "Moses, my servant, your lineage will shine forth. A prophet like you shall arise, one who will lead not only Israel, but all nations to a new covenant, sealed with my very own blood." In that moment, the anguish of the past faded into a promise of glorious hope, setting the stage for the unfolding of a divine plan that would usher in a new era, one that would echo throughout eternity. The people below stirred, sensing that the story of their existence was about to intertwine with the very heartbeat of God's sovereign design, and a flicker of destiny ignited within their souls. Would they rise to fulfill the call destined for them? Would they embrace the coming promise hidden within the shadows of their uncertainty? And it came to pass that as Moses stood upon Mount Nebo, the view of the promised land stretching magnificently before him, a heavy mantle rested upon his heart. The beauty of the land filled with promise contrasted sharply with the awareness of his own mortality. He turned his gaze to the horizon, the lush valleys and towering mountains, where the fruits of generations awaited a chosen people walking in the footsteps of faith. The Lord spoke again to Moses, "This day I reveal to you the fullness of my covenant, a promise not only for the land, but life eternal through the one who is to come. It shall be through him that the hearts of men will be transformed, leading them from despair to hope." Moses, overwhelmed by the enormity of this revelation, sank to his knees, the dust of the earth mingling with his tears. He pondered within himself the trials the people of Israel would face. "Will they keep the faith?" he whispered into the still night. As the stars glittered like scattered gems upon the vast canvas of the heavens, a sound resonated, calm yet compelling, as if the very fabric of creation was drawing nearer. "As I have been with you, I will continue to be with you. Be faithful, O Israel, for you shall not walk alone." The voice of God enveloped him, stirring courage within. Moses rose with renewed determination, for he knew his voice must carry the gravity of this divine dialogue to his people. Descending from the heights, he sought them, his heart pounding with the urgency of the mission before him. Gathering the Israelites, he stood amidst them once more. "People of God, hearken to my words." His voice, though aged and wavering, pierced the veil of disquiet among them. "The Lord your God wishes to unfold before you the wonders of his covenant. Though my eyes shall not enter the land, my spirit shall forever dwell among you." The people listened intently, their fears momentarily abated as hope rekindled. He continued, "For there is one who is to come, a prophet greater than I, who shall speak to you my words, written upon the tablets of your hearts, words of love, redemption, and grace. From him you shall receive the promise of eternal life." A murmur rose among the ranks, a mixture of wonder and confusion. "How shall we know him?" they queried, the bright spark of expectation flickering. "In your hearts," Moses replied, "you shall discern his voice clearer than the dawn. He will walk among you, bearing our burdens. His sacrifice shall usher in a new covenant, a divine transformation, redeeming first the lost sheep of Israel, and then extending grace to the Gentile nations." As the realization settled upon the assembly, the faces of the people reflected hope born from the depths of despair. Eyes once clouded with doubt now sparkled with divine possibilities, ignited by a promise that spanned beyond their current understanding. Moses, sensing their awakening spirits, raised his hand and declared, "And you, O Israel, must hold fast to this truth. Do not stray from the path, but remember the commandments and teach them to your children. For the days ahead may be dark, filled with trials and tribulations, yet through faith you shall inherit the promise." Just then a wind swept through the valley, carrying with it a sensation of awe and anticipation. The sky swirled above, hinting at the divine drama unfolding beyond mere human sight. In that moment, a cloud enveloped the mountain, grounding Moses in the essence of God's presence. "Prepare yourselves, for a new day is dawning," the voice of the Lord rang out, a clarion call that would echo through generations. "Your trials are not in vain. They are the chisel that will shape you into a people of faith. For even in your struggles, my sovereign plan will rise. Will you take up the mantle, O Israel? The people stood in unity, hearts tethered to the promise, each pulse resonating with the divine truth that stirred forth from the mountaintop. And as Moses beheld their faces, a final thought pierced his spirit, a knowing that transcended time. For a day shall come when every knee will bow and every tongue confess that the Lord is God. Embrace the future with unwavering faith, for my covenant is unbreakable. And with that declaration, Moses turned toward the horizon, his heart and hand lifted in hope for the destiny unfolding before his people. Yet, deep within, a question lingered shrouded in divine secrecy. What of the people when their faith was tried? Would they remember the promise of the one to come amidst their trials, or would they wander into darkness once more? And it came to pass that as Moses spoke, the weight of history bore down upon him. His heart, a vessel of divine truth, brimming with the anticipation of both glory and sorrow, echoed in the breaths of the gathered assembly. He raised his voice, pleading with the children of Israel. Mighty is our God, who led us from bondage. Remember the marvels he has wrought among us. From the parting of the Red Sea to the daily provision of manna, let these memories anchor your souls in faith. With each word, Moses painted vivid images of their journey, recalling how the Lord had shielded them from plagues, leading them with a fiery cloud by night and the pillar of smoke by day. He continued, Yet, even with this history of grace, the path ahead is fraught with challenges. As you enter the land flowing with milk and honey, beware of the snares laid before you. For the enemy of your soul seeks to turn your hearts astray. The people, though stirred by his words, felt trepidation rise within them. They had witnessed their ancestors' rebellion. Doubts began to murmur in their hearts. And seeing this, Moses implored, Let not the fears of this world dictate your faith. Seek the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and he shall reveal himself mighty in your midst. Moses' gaze fell upon the promised land one last time, his voice trembling with emotion. O Israel, do not forget your identity as his chosen people, for you are the apple of his eye. In every echo of the past resides a promise that he will never leave you nor forsake you, even unto the end of the age. With fervor, he then extended his arms wide, as if embracing the entirety of the covenant. And now, O people of God, I commission you. Teach these commandments diligently to your children. Let them be upon your hearts, and bind them as a sign upon your hands. When your sons and daughters ask of your heritage, reply to them, We were once slaves in Egypt, but God led us out with a mighty hand. His voice reverberated among the hills, binding their future to their history. In that sacred moment, God's presence thickened the air, conspicuously palpable. A deep silence fell upon the crowd, as spiritual awe blanketed them. Moses took a step closer to the people, his eyes ablaze with fervent urgency. Cherish this law, for through it you will witness the righteousness of God alive in your lives. If you remain faithful, you shall be a light unto the nations. And then, as if responding to his earnest supplication, a light shone, piercing through the clouds above. The glory of the Lord reflected off the mountaintops, illuminating Moses' weathered face. Remember, the voice of the Lord echoed forth with mighty assurance. The one who is to come will fulfill every promise. In him the worlds were created, and by him all things hold together. As the echoes of God's proclamation lingered, Moses felt the stirring winds of destiny swirling around him. This is not the end, but a new beginning, O Israel. The covenant of grace will flow from my Spirit into the hearts of all who believe, shaping a new people for His glory. Yet even as hope flourished among the crowd, a shadow lurked within Moses' heart, a worry that they would be tested. What if they falter, he mused silently. Will they remember to cling to the promises when trial comes? With a heavy heart, he uttered his final thoughts aloud, the urgency palpable. And though I shall not walk with you into the land, know that he who leads you shall not abandon you. Look to the promise, for the Lord shall guide your steps even when the road is steep. With that, the heavens blossomed with the brilliance of divine illumination, enveloping Moses in light as he ascended from their sight. The cries of his people, a mixture of sorrow and hope, resounded across the valley. It would be a day of reckoning, one when faith would be tested, and the legacy of God's covenant would unfold in ways unseen. And Moses' words, forever etched in the hearts of Israel, would resonate through the ages, leading to a revelation yet to come. For indeed, a prophet shall rise, born of a virgin, who shall bear the burdens of his people. Will you heed his call, O Israel, and walk in his light? Prepare your hearts, for the day of fulfillment draws near. And it came to pass, after Moses had ascended into the cloud, the people of Israel, enveloped in a profound stillness, remained at the foot of the mountain. The shock of separation deepened, casting shadows upon their hearts. Fear took root, whispering doubts into their spirits. "What shall we do now?" they murmured to one another, their voices trembling. Then the elders of Israel gathered together, their faces drawn and filled with anxiety. They looked upon one another, seeking direction, for without their leader, uncertainty loomed heavy. It was Aaron who stepped forth, his hands raised in a gesture of calm. "Fear not, for the God of our forefathers guides us still. Let us gather our treasures and fashion a new sign, that we may remember him who delivered us." But the people, finding refuge in their impatience and despair, pressed upon Aaron. "Make us gods that shall go before us, for as for this Moses, we know not what has become of him." And they cast their gold into the fire, fashioning a molten calf, saying, "Behold the God that brought us up from the land of Egypt." Little did they know the heart of God ached at their haste, for he saw their hearts straying from his covenant. In the heights of heaven, the Lord spoke unto Moses, declaring, "Go down, for your people whom you brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves." The Lord's voice was full of fiery judgment, yearning for the fidelity of his chosen ones. As Moses descended, the sound of revelry reached his ears, a ghastly orchestration of rebellion. His eyes fell upon the calf, and his heart shattered. The tablets of stone clutched tight in his hands. "What is this?" he cried out, confronting Aaron with righteous anger. "What has led this people into such folly?" Aaron, trembling, attempted to justify the actions of the people. "I cast their gold into the fire, and out came this calf." But Moses, in fervent anguish, threw the tablets to the ground. They shattered beneath him, like their covenant being broken before his very eyes. He interceded fervently for the people. "O Lord, if you will not forgive their sin, then blot me out of your book." The Lord replied, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. Now go, lead the people where I told you." And he declared that the day of reckoning had come, a time when justice would meet mercy in the heart of his commitment to his people. Thus, through swift judgment, 3,000 souls fell by the sword that day, a grave reminder of the weight of sin and the call to holiness. After the plague had passed, Moses sought once more the favor of the Lord. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin, forgive it. But if not, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written. The Lord affirmed his justice. I will show mercy to whom I will show mercy. Yet his covenant remained unbroken. Moses returned to the mountain to plead with God, and there he received anew the tablets, echoing the grace that would not forsake them. Build me an altar, O Israel, and let your hearts return to me, Moses proclaimed, as the scriptures of old were written anew in his heart. The promise of restoration lingered in the air, a foreshadowing of the ultimate Savior to come, who would take upon himself the sin of the world. Thus the sacred cycle of sin and grace unfolded, and with its rhythm came a whisper of a greater mystery. For I will put my law within them and write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Prepare your hearts, O Israel, for the time approaches when the fullness of the covenant will be unveiled, and the new promise will echo through the ages. And it came to pass, as days turned into weeks upon the mountain, Moses remained in the presence of the Almighty. The cloud enveloped him, and within it he sought the face of God. Show me your glory, he pleaded, longing to understand the breadth of divine mercy. The Lord responded, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord. Moses stood in reverent awe as the divine presence enveloped him, and the voice of God declared, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, but who will by no means clear the guilty. Exodus 34, 6-7. The weight of these words sank deeply into Moses' heart, etching the spirit of God's covenant anew into his soul. While Moses was enraptured with the Lord, down below, the people of Israel wrestled with their choices. Their hearts were agitated, haunted by the memory of the golden calf and the taste of their rebellion. Many said to one another, We have forsaken our God. How may we return to him? The whispers of doubt grew louder, threatening to drown the fragile hope that lingered in their spirits. But behold, an elder of the people spoke, his voice trembling yet resolute. Moses has not returned to us, but the Lord our God is still among us. Let us cry out to him, for in our distress we might yet find his mercy. They gathered forth, lifting their voices in lamentation, seeking the forgiveness of the Most High. Then the Lord spoke unto Moses, Cut for yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. Exodus 34:1. With renewed purpose, Moses descended the mountain, the fear of the Lord etched upon his heart, ready to offer the people a chance for reconciliation and restoration. As he approached the camp, the sight before him was grievous. The people trembled in their disarray, for their chaos rippled like waves upon the sea. Moses, they cried, their eyes wide with uncertainty, have you come to condemn us? But Moses called out, his voice steady, No, my brothers and sisters, gather your hearts. The Lord of mercy seeks to make covenant anew with you. He held the tablets up to the heavens, declaring, The Lord your God desires to dwell with you once more, turn from your wickedness and return to him." A hush swept through the multitude as Moses recounted the words spoken atop the mountain, echoing the faithful promises of the Lord. "Behold," he proclaimed, "the covenant is renewed. But remember this day, your obedience shall be the lifeblood of our relationship. For to love God is to keep his commands." And he raised his hands in fervent prayer, imploring the Lord to pour out his Spirit upon the people once more. As dawn met dusk, the heart of the people began to shift, their mourning turning to joy as they offered sacrifices of thanksgiving. They knew they had received grace upon grace, and in their hearts ignited a flame of devotion long forgotten. Yet in the quiet of the night, a shadow lingered among them. Whispers of an even greater revelation danced upon their lips, hinting at a covenant yet to be fulfilled. "Prepare, for a day will come when I will send a prophet like Moses, and he shall speak my words, and all who believe in him will be made new." In the moonlit night, the people slept, unknowing of the divine mystery unfurling like a hidden scroll, where the heart of God was stitching their brokenness into a promise greater than themselves. And it came to pass, as the sun rose on the morrow, Moses gathered the people of Israel together at the foot of the mountain. The air was thick with expectation, and their hearts yearned for renewal. Moses stood before them, holding the new tablets, his countenance radiant from the glory of the Lord. "Hear, O Israel," he proclaimed, "you have witnessed the mighty hand of God that led you out of Egypt through the wilderness and has called you to be his treasured possession. Remember his covenant, for it is a beacon that will guide you through the darkness." With trembling voices, the people responded, "All that the Lord has spoken, we will do." Exodus 19:8. In this affirmation of obedience, a covenant unbroken ignited hope anew. Moses unfolded the words carved upon the tablets, sharing with them the commands that would serve as their guiding principles. "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image," he began, the sacred commands spilling forth from his lips with profound authority. Exodus 20:3-4. Each word bore the weight of heaven, stirring their spirits as they were reminded of their singular devotion to the Creator. Yet, as the commands flowed, the people began to understand the gravity of their commitment. In silent reflection, eyes turned toward the ground, conviction taking root deep within. Moses, perceiving their struggle, lifted his voice again. "The Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. He desires your hearts, not mere outward obedience, but a love that runs deep." Deuteronomy 4:24. His words were like arrows, piercing the veil of complacency, calling them to a higher standard of relationship with the Almighty. And so he continued with fervor, "Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you." The principles of honor and rest echoed in their ears, calling them into a rhythm of life that echoed the Creator's rest. Deuteronomy 5:12. Awe surged within the assembly as Moses recounted the stories of God's faithfulness. He spoke of his miraculous provisions, the manna from heaven, the water from the rock, reminders of God's relentless love and care for his people. Each remembrance brought a rekindling of trust, challenging their past wanderings and drawing them nearer to his heart. Then, in a moment heavy with divine gravity, Moses turned his gaze toward the heavens. "And yet, there is a mystery that has not yet been unveiled. For the Lord said to me, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brethren. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him." Deuteronomy 18:18. This promise beckons you to prepare your hearts, for he shall be the one who fulfills all things.
Whispers arose among the congregation, mingled with astonishment and anticipation. Who would this prophet be? How would he come? The air crackled with the weight of possibility as they contemplated the depth of this sacred promise yet to emerge. As the gathering dispersed, murmurs of faith echoed through the camp. Each step away from Moses, a reminder to hold firm to the forgotten zeal, a call to transformation through obedience and love. Underneath starlit skies, while the people contemplated their covenant, the future loomed large and veiled, a tapestry of redemption where God's hand was intricately weaving hope, the promise of an everlasting covenant still to unfold, and their hearts tethered to the divine in eager expectation. For out of their midst the fulfillment of the promise would come, and it would change all things. And it came to pass, as Moses descended from the mountain, the people stood in silent reverence, their hearts beating in stillness, waiting for the next word of the Lord. The sky turned crimson, mirroring the fiery presence of God upon the mountaintop. Moses, still radiant from his encounter, gathered the leaders of Israel, his voice calm yet filled with gravity. "Listen well," he instructed them, "for the days that lie ahead shall test your resolve. The Lord has commanded that you establish a sanctuary for him among you, a dwelling place for his glory, that he may walk among you and be your God." Exodus 25:8. His words hung in the air, heavy with divine destiny, inviting them into a deeper communion with their Creator. The leaders exchanged glances, on the cusp of understanding the magnitude of this divine request. "But Lord," one of them questioned, "how are we to build this sanctuary? Who among us possesses the skill or the means to honor such a great God?" Moses, sensing their doubt, replied with unwavering faith, "The Lord has equipped us from the spoils of Egypt. He provided for every need when he delivered us."
Gather the people. Let every man who has a willing heart offer gifts, gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, fine linen, and acacia wood. Exodus 25:3-4. With that, he turned towards the vast encampment, the breaths of the people now quickening to match the urgency in Moses' voice. "Prepare your hearts, O Israel, for the Almighty desires to dwell among you, to guide you by his glory in the day and his fire by night." As the words settled, the men and women began to stir. Each one reflected upon their own hearts, recalling the treasures they had brought with them, memories of their escape, the salvation of their souls marked by the hand of God. "But remember, beloved," Moses continued, "this is not merely an act of giving, it is an act of devotion. Let your hearts be filled with gratitude, for the Lord delights in a cheerful giver." The people, stirred by the Spirit of God, began to approach Moses, each one laying down their offerings at his feet. Golden earrings and braided anklets, silver cups, and woven fabrics painted with the colors of their faith. Each offering represented a story of redemption, a testament of sacrifice, echoing the covenant made on this very mountain. And amidst the offerings, a young girl stepped forward. Her hands trembled as she presented a simple clay pot. "I have nothing else to give, but my heart is full," she confessed softly. Moses knelt down, taking the pot in his hands. "This vessel may seem small," he said, his eyes gleaming with compassion, "but in the eyes of the Lord it is a powerful offering." The assembly gasped, for they saw the faith of one transformed in love. "For it is the heart that the Lord desires," he exclaimed. The atmosphere shifted as they realized that their actions echoed in the chambers of heaven. Thus, the people gathered in unity, their hearts ignited with fervor, understanding that the sanctuary would not just be a physical structure, but a living testimony of their devotion to the living God. They lifted their voices in song, a melody rising toward the heavens, as they began the work that would usher in the Shekinah glory of the Lord. But within this miraculous movement, a profound mystery remained.
More than just a dwelling place, would this sanctuary become the very echo of the promise yet to come? For the Lord said, "In this house I shall put my name, and it shall be called a house of prayer for all nations." Isaiah 56:7. With each heartbeat, anticipation swelled as they chiseled their faith into the offerings, knowing that through them God's plan was unfolding, a plan greater than they could grasp, leading them beyond their wilderness into a destiny paved with His everlasting love. For even now the whispers of heaven beckoned, "Prepare, for He who shall dwell among you, for in Him lies the redemption of everything." And it came to pass, as the people of Israel gathered their gifts, a spirit of unity and fervor enveloped the camp.
Men, women, and children, each one touched by the Lord's command, worked side by side. With every woven thread and carefully crafted piece of the sanctuary, the sound of hammers and the scent of incense began to lift to the heavens, marking the heart of their expression of devotion. Moses, burdened yet hopeful, moved through the throngs of laborers, overseeing the incredible task at hand. "Remember," he reminded them, "this sanctuary will not only be a dwelling place for the Almighty, it will be a beacon unto all nations. As it is written, 'And all the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you.' Deuteronomy 28:10. Let therefore your hands be strong for the work ahead." Every heart beat in time with the rhythm of labor, and yet, amidst the joyful noise, a troubling thought began to stir in Moses' heart. What if the people faltered in their faith? What if they grew weary and turned aside to worship the idols they had known in Egypt? The weight of this concern pressed heavily upon him, and he sought the face of the Lord earnestly. That night, as the stars twinkled like candles in the vast expanse, Moses ascended the mountain once more to commune with God. The glory of the Lord met him there, enveloping him like a cloud of fire. "My servant Moses," the voice of the Lord thundered, "your people are in grave danger of losing their way. They crave signs and wonders, yet forget the wonders I have performed among them." Moses, falling to his knees, cried out, "O Lord, if you will not go with us, how will we be distinct from all the other peoples of the earth? Show me your glory." Exodus 33:16-18. In that moment, the Lord revealed to Moses his name, proclaiming, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness." Exodus 34:6. With every word spoken, Moses' heart was fortified. "As your servant, Lord, let my words be a reminder to the people of your faithfulness." Thus he returned to the camp with renewed zeal, ready to instruct the people about the importance of their covenant with God. "Gather, O Israel," Moses declared, his voice piercing through the night's quietude. "Let us remember what the Lord has done for us, for He is our strength and salvation. Do not turn away, for He desires to dwell in your midst. Teach your children His statutes and commandments, that they may pass them on through generations. His glory is our guide." The people listened, captivated by the strength of Moses' testimony, as he spoke of the wonders of the past and the promise of the future. They pledged their hearts afresh, affirming, "We will do all that the Lord has spoken." Yet as the sun rose upon another day, God was not yet finished. For He instructed Moses to gather the artisans whom He had filled with wisdom, the skilled and the willing. "For I have anointed them to craft the very sanctuary that will be the dwelling of my presence." Exodus 31:3-5. With fervent hands and spirit, they began to shape the gold and silver, the wood and fabric, as the Lord laid out the plan before them through Moses. each detail woven through with divine intention, bringing forth a physical representation of the covenant, a promise not just to Israel, but to all nations yet to believe. Unbeknownst to the assembly, a deeper truth was being woven into the fabric of their faith. For through this sanctuary, a shadow of the greater plan was taking shape, a plan that none, save God, could fully fathom. Little did they know, the true manifestation of God's presence was yet to come, one that would bridge heaven and earth forevermore. And it came to pass, when Moses finished the meticulous work of guiding the people and instructing them in the ways of the Lord, a finality hung in the air, a divine cadence echoing through the soul of Israel. The sanctuary had risen, its brilliance casting rays of hope across the land, a testament to God's enduring covenant. Moses gathered the congregation once more, their hearts thrumming with the shared anticipation of what was to unfold. "Behold the dwelling place of the Most High," he proclaimed, standing before the enclosed tabernacle framed by clouds of glory. A reverent hush enveloped the assembly as the weight of the divine presence settled upon them, a sacred moment that transcended mere ritual. "Today," Moses declared, raising his staff, "we seal our covenant with the Lord. He who delivered us from bondage has promised to dwell among us, guiding us in the paths of righteousness. He will not abandon his people. We shall walk in his light." The people, their faces illuminated by the radiance of God's promise, echoed back, "All that the Lord has spoken, we will do." Their voices united like the crashing of mighty waves upon shores of faith, rippling through the realms of heaven. With trembling hands, Moses drew forth the tablets of stone, newly inscribed with God's commandments. "These are the words of our covenant, written with the finger of God," he proclaimed, each syllable heavy with truth. "Guard them closely, O Israel, for in them resides the path to life. Teach them to your children, and let them be the firm foundation upon which you build your lives." As the people gathered closer, hearts aligned to the rhythm of the Spirit, a pillar of cloud descended above the sanctuary. The very breath of the Almighty filled the space, and the glory of the Lord enveloped them. "His presence among us is a reminder," Moses proclaimed, "that though trials shall come, his faithfulness remains unshakable." And the breath of the congregation caught as one, their spirits stirring, for they felt the weight of history coursing through them. How many had wandered seeking their own way? How many had rebelled, stretching their hearts towards the idols of despair? But today marked a new beginning, a moment of recommitment, a promise revitalized in the hearts of the people. Standing on holy ground beneath the radiant tapestry of heaven, Moses looked upon the faces he had led through deserts, trials, and victories. He whispered, "When you stumble, when you falter, remember these moments and return to him. For he is faithful to forgive and ever eager to restore." The people nodded, their hearts beating in unison, renewed by the echoes of divine mercy, understanding that they too play a part in the unfolding redemption. As they turned their gaze toward the horizon, the future was no longer filled with uncertainty, but a pathway woven with promises and hope. They would become a light to the nations, a testament of God's faithfulness extending beyond their borders, into the very fabric of the world yet untouched. Moses, with tears of joy and weighty sorrow, declared, "I will not enter the fullness of the land, but my spirit shall dwell with you, for the covenant is not bound by mere geography. It is bound by faith and obedience. where the essence of God will flow through future generations. And as the assembly lifted their voices in jubilant praise, a fresh wind swept through the camp, heralding the promise that lay ahead. "For I will send you a prophet like me," Moses declared with fervent conviction. "He shall lead you in the true way, the way of love, sacrifice, and grace. Prepare your hearts, for his arrival draws near." In that holy moment, the weight of history merged with a future laced with destiny. Moses' heart was filled with the understanding that his life, his journey, was but a prelude to the greater story, the redemptive saga written across the ages and woven into the very fabric of creation. And so, in their hearts and minds, the memories of that day would endure. The symbolism of the sanctuary, the binding of the commandments, and the hope of a coming salvation. God, in his infinite mercy, granted Israel the strength to remember, to hold fast to the covenant, and to be heralds of truth. Yet, in that sacred ambience, the urgency remained, a beckoning call for each heart to respond. The divine whispers urged them ever deeper into faith, a faith that would call them to action, uniting them in the mission of God. And thus, as the day faded into twilight, Moses summoned the people once more, their eyes wide with understanding. "Hear me, O Israel, this is the moment. Will you share this truth with the world? Will you shout from the mountaintops that he is faithful? For today we seal our covenant, not only with words, but with hearts aflame, spreading his message of love." Desiring a response, Moses stepped back, allowing the fervor of the assembly to flood forth. In that atmosphere of reciprocal commitment, the voices of the redeemed swelled as one. "We will share his truth. We will carry the message of his love to the ends of the earth."
Their declaration rang out, resounding through the mountains, sweeping through the valleys, that in response to the truth spoken, they would commit to the call of the Almighty, declaring his faithfulness to generations yet unseen. Moses looked upon them, filled with hope and gratitude, his task effectively sealed in faith. With his heart bursting, the collective breath of Israel a cadence of divine devotion, he raised his hands high in prayer and praise as a luminous love encapsulated their covenant journey. "For the Lord your God is with you. He will not forsake you. Go forth in his strength, spread his message of hope and redemption." And the winds carried their shouts to the heavens, echoing the sacred promise that now lingered upon their lips, the greatest of all prophecies yet unveiled, the covenant embraced. Beloved ones, as you reflect upon this journey, are you ready to take the call to share that same message with your world? Today, we invite you to rekindle that fire and step into God's purpose. Subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm. Comment below sharing your spiritual reflections and how this biblical story has impacted your faith. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. Together, let's ignite the hearts of many with the love and grace of Jesus Christ. For those who truly believe, understand the urgency of bringing God's enduring message forth.